Hello everyone, Jacketing here. Today we are at Daytona 500, the lovely Daytona International Raceway. We always thought we were going to come here for the Daytona Rolex 24, for the endurance race.
Yes, we'll
not
miss
for
that
this.
this year.
We've missed that this year, but we got invited out by our friends at ABB to come and check out a very special race car.
Very
Alex.
special car.
Very special. 1,300 horsepower,
All-wheel drive.
365 tires squared. Welcome everybody to the NASCAR ABB EV prototype. Why are we talking about an EV? Keep watching, find out.
I know what you guys are thinking. An electric NASCAR? How much did ABB and NASCAR have to pay you idiots to make this video? Now put your pitchforks down. Full disclosure, ABB flew Alex and I down to Daytona 500, stuffed a bunch of food into Alex, and said we get to make this video however we wanted and say whatever we wanted. But for those of you like Alex who knows nothing about NASCAR, what is the deal with this car anyway?
So what you see behind us is the ABB NASCAR EV prototype. This is about a 2-year project that we've been working on. The chassis is based off of next-gen chassis, so if you took off all the bodywork, it would look very similar to what you see on Sundays in the Cup Series, with a little bit of tweaks. So we took lessons learned from Garage 56, the car we took to Le Mans in 2023, to lighten the car. Because unlike the IC cars, the battery packaging is a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, so we had to find ways to lighten the chassis. The battery loads from underneath the car, so it's actually fully integrated into the floor pan. So essentially what we did was our style of racing, there's a lot of contact. So for that reason, we had to build an outer shell that would sustain that type of racing. So that's why the actual battery pack itself is a very stout and it's a structural piece of the car. And then our partners over at Goodyear with our tires, these tires are specifically made for this car. Because it is a heavier car than what we run in the Cup Series and it is an all-wheel drive car, we had to go back to the drawing board on tire development because we don't go through front tires like you would with an all-wheel drive car.
Right, because the front wheel does a drive now too.
Yes, going into that, it's been an amazing opportunity to work with ABB, our OEM partners, Goodyear, on this project because it's something different than what you'll see on a Daytona 500 weekend, right? Yeah. So what you see here is essentially a next-gen front clip. So with this chassis, the only difference is the front clip is a modular front clip, just like the next-gen car. The biggest thing is to support the motor and the gearbox, we had to do the pyramid brace. Outside of that, everything else is the same. The suspension pickup points are the exact same as the Cup car, which allows us to use our Cup Series control arms and our uprights. The upright is the exact same housing that we have in the Cup Series. The only difference is we now have to have hubs in the front to support the all-wheel drive. This bumper structure is tweaked a little bit different because we don't have the same cooling package that we have in the Cup car. The inlet is the same, but in the Cup car we have louvers, so the packaging was a little bit different and gave us a little bit more room to work with up here. We briefly mentioned the carbon firewalls, so that's where the inverter, the DC to DC is mounted, as well as in the rear.
So it has a separate inverter, of course, for the 3 motors.
Yes, yeah.
We were then introduced to the new Chevy Blazer NASCAR EV prototype. And the details of the engineering on these things are very impressive.
But this is effectively the same car that actually we saw yesterday.
Chassis, but like the next-gen car, I think every manufacturer has the liberty of designing their own bodywork within a certain rule set.
Yeah, I think they said the front nose clip, you can have a little bit of different design.
Yep.
But the roof line, you can change yourselves too. So the Mach-E prototype is going to look different from the Blazer roof line and most likely going to be different from the Taylor one too.
But chassis inside is actually very similar, if not near identical.
Yeah.
I really like the rear wing straight through the, straight through the window into the chassis.
That's like pure race car chassis.
And also, just in case you didn't know which setting of the rear wing are, you have number references.
Of course. It's super easy for you to be able to tell.
Yep.
I do like the look of it too. I genuinely think this is a good looking race car.
Yeah, I want to see the Ford one.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Because
everybody just has a different take on what it needs to look like, right?
I'm pretty sure they're not going to run it at 90 degrees for the real races, but that's
Yeah, we want to put our in at like 19 degrees every time, we'll have to display it too, because it looks better that way.
It looks like a way. It doesn't look like a plank.
Yeah.
We genuinely like how the Chevrolet Blazer prototype looked. But what was even crazier was, in this day and era, when all the cars are getting bigger and bigger, the NASCAR EV prototype were actually smaller than their production car siblings.
But NASCAR didn't build this just to go to cars and coffee, Alex. It's not about how it looks. How does this thing actually drive?
So when NASCAR designed this car, we really wanted to design it and use a lot of the common parts and pieces that the the Gen 7 car runs, at the Daytona 500. So the chassis, the roll bars, the safety part of it, and even the steering, the front end suspension parts, it's all very similar to what the guys are running today in the NASCAR world. Obviously, what's different is the battery pack, the electric motors, and the all-wheel drive. So from a steering perspective, from a handling perspective, it does feel really, really close. And they also did a good job designing the aero balance to where that is very similar as well. So I think those things are similar, but the biggest thing is it doesn't make any noise, no emissions, and it's really, really fast being an all-wheel drive car. It's different without having that engine noise for sure, but you can hear so many other things. You can hear the tires squealing. You can smell the brakes and even the rubber more, because the smell of the gas and the oil burning always kind of mask some of the other smells that you have. So your senses are definitely heightened a lot different in this EV prototype than the traditional car.
So the power on the ABB NASCAR EV prototype is unbelievable. The experience of just getting into the throttle pedal and having the maximum amount of horsepower that it can produce on demand at all times is absolutely a gearhead's dream, I would say. Driving this car, electrification, and just having the power at all times in all areas is quite an amazing experience.
Well, the people who are paid to like the car seem to like the car. What a surprise. But what about the paying fans and the competition crews? What do they think of NASCAR's newest experiment?
The dumbest ever.
Okay.
Terrible idea.
Okay.
Electric vehicles do not belong in motorsports.
Yeah.
No.
The EV
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
Put a goddamn V8 in it with goddamn fuel injection and let's run them out.
I just know that they do what they got to do to make the cars go as fast as possible. That's really all I can say about it.
I got you. Thank you. Well, that was really unsurprising. But then, what is the point of a race car that your core fan base cannot get behind?
When you look at NASCAR from the 1950s and 60s and 70s, it's those things that you talked about, the pushrod V8s, the carburetor, the fuel cells that carries 22 gallons of gasoline, burning oil, burning fuel. That's evolved some. What we have today is a fuel injected car that has a 5-speed sequential gearbox. It has a better braking system. It handles better. Instead of 15-inch wheels, it has 18-inch wheels. So where I'm getting to is it's just evolved over time, just like the cars that I have in my driveway have evolved. I think this is the next evolution with the vehicles that we drive. And that's what NASCAR's always been about, evolving what you and I are driving on the road to go and race on the racetrack.
So the EV space is really, really important to us, and we've done a lot of things with our demonstrators in the high performance world, like Cobra Jet, Super Cobra Jet, Mach-E 1400, both road course, and drag racing there with the Pikes Peak record.
The Marquee Rally, the Super Van.
Yeah, Super Van.
Super cool.
Yeah, Super Van 4.0, 4.2, Super Truck. All those things are super important to us, and just trying to evolve and learn the space and try and get some tech transfer. This car is very different. All-wheel drive, understanding the torque, the regen braking, all that kind of stuff. It's a whole new technical challenge for us. So we've got to think differently, and we've got to find different ways to be able to bridge the gap between the production side and the racing side.
Yeah. We're always trying to push technology. Nothing is off the table in terms of we're always trying to advance, whether it be a prototype, whether it be something else, right? Prototypes like this show what we can do and what we hope to accomplish. So in the future, you never know what's going to happen, but we'll continue to advance as an organization and as a collective group.
The car's made. Ford's released their prototype.
Yeah.
Chevy's got their Blazer.
Yeah.
There's this one, and Ryan Turk's here, which only means one thing. He's a Toyota contractor driver. We know him well.
Yeah.
Where do you see that leading to? Is that going to be a series sometime coming soon? Or
Well,
what?
you know, while NASCAR hasn't committed to an electric racing series, we are exploring it, right? So, you know, ultimately, we want to push the technology. The automakers, some of this technology may end up in production cars, right? I mean, behind us is 1,360 horsepower, so it goes fast. And I'm excited about the types of things we can do together in the future with having multiple cars on the track. We haven't run the car at top speed yet because the engineers want to make sure that, you know, it's safe for the driver to do so. So that's the level where we're at with this prototype.
If we get like a field of 10 of these things,
Yes.
around any racetrack, and where do you think the characteristics of a car would best suit it around any racetrack?
Yeah, I think the short tracks for now, there's no question when the power's turned up with this car, it will go well over 200 miles an hour. And I told him I'll be a test driver, but not quite a crash dummy just yet. 'Cause, you know, I don't want to see what the limits are. But on the short tracks, I think you'll be able to drive it extremely aggressive. I think you'll be able to drive it into the corner very hard. You'll be able to throttle up extremely hard.
All of us get into cars, all of us get into engineering to do cool stuff like this. So it's a great day when we're able to kind of put something on paper and then put it in real life and see its performance. And that's what we want to continue to do here at NASCAR and with our OEM partners and with Goodyear and with ABB, is to continue to push that envelope.
And that's our brief look at the ABB NASCAR EV prototype. While I wish I got the chance to drive it on track, I'm still looking forward to seeing a pack of these tri-motor beasts battling it out. Just imagine 8 to 9 of these things piloted by your favorite drivers like Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, bumper to bumper, door to door, 1,300 horsepower under the right foot at tracks like Chicago Street Course, Martinsville, heck, even Bristol on dirt. Race cars don't become cool by themselves or by the tech that goes into them. They become cool from the driver's personality, the legendary rivalries, and the incredible stories they are forever a part of. So NASCAR, race this car, please.